Hi everybody. Today we're going to make something super fun and I'm really looking forward to it. This is so simple and so easy. We're going to make strawberry peach jam using Thrive Life strawberries and the pectin we used and made the other day out of the apples. So what we're going to do is I have half a pantry canister of the sliced strawberries. I'm going to throw that whole thing in there. Then I have a can of my own homemade peach juice. If you want and you don't have homemade peach juice, like most people don't, you can just buy any of that store-bought juice, one of those small glass jars of that organic peach juice. And peaches themselves have pectin in them. And if you look at the bottom of my jars, you see that floaty, cloudy stuff? That's the peach pectin. But, you can even see it here on the ring on the bottom. That's all the pectin from the peaches themselves. You won't get that in store-bought. But I get it in my homemade. And then here is that homemade apple pectin that we got and made the other day from the apples from Thrive Life. And again, here you can see it. Like I said the other day, this is the best pectin I think I've ever had. And from now on, when I make pectin, if I don't have Thrive Life, I will dehydrate my apples before I make my pectin, because it just turned out so perfect. So, a jar of homemade pectin. If you don't have homemade pectin, we want to make sure, you see that cloudy stuff on the bottom of the jar? We want to make sure we shake it up and get all of that, because that's our pectin. That'll help thicken this up. Now, if you don't have homemade pectin, this 8-ounce jar of homemade pectin is equivalent to 1 pouch. So you wouldn't be adding the pectin until later during the boiling process. And if you're using store-bought pectin, I honestly could not even begin to tell you how to use the store-bought pectin. I've only tried to use store-bought pectin 2 or 3 times. It never worked. It turned out gross and icky. I don't know if I did something wrong with the store-bought pectin, but I just went right back to using my homemade pectin, because homemade pectin works way better in my opinion. And most importantly, if you look up and read how pectin is made, I want homemade pectin. Alright, so now we're just going to let all this sit for a while so that the strawberries can absorb some of the juice and rehydrate before we start the boiling process. Now again, this is half a canister of pantry sliced strawberries, 1 jar of peach juice, and 1 jar of the homemade apple pectin. We'll be back when all this has sat for about 15 to 20 minutes and it gets nice and started to rehydrate. We'll be back. Alright, everybody. Let's see if we can make this work. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Ooh. Hold on, my camera's sitting dangerously. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. No, wait, 15 minutes. My clock says. And all the strawberries are nice and soft. And as you can see, the peach water has turned a nice red. Now, when I make my juice, I add sugar to it. Low sugar. So, when I make my jam, I don't need to add much sugar. If you're using store-bought juices, you should really not add very much sugar, because those store-bought juices have high fructose corn syrup and sugar and all that other stuff, unless you're getting yourself pure organic, and then it only has cane sugar, and then you're going to want to add a cup. So if you're using like Juicy Juice or any of those high fructose corn syrups, you add half a cup of sugar. If you're using organic, all natural, or homemade like I am, we use a cup. I make all of my jams and jellies low sugar. There is no reason for children to be packed full of that much sugar. And there's so much diabetes in the world, and there's plenty of sugar in the natural fruit anyways. Alright, so 1 cup of sugar, my 1 bottle of juice, and my half a can of pantry sliced strawberries. Then we're going to add the most important ingredient. Ooh, I also had 8 ounces of pectin in here. If you're using store-bought pectin with a pouch, you'd add that later while you're boiling it. And I couldn't tell you any more than that. Alright, to this we're also going to add about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. We need the lemon juice for the chemical reaction with the pectin to help with the thickening. I use organic lemon juice from Italy. I get it at Costco. You can also squeeze fresh lemons and get 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. That works really well. If it's summertime and I have that ability, I do. I love fresh lemons for jams and jellies. Alright. We're going to put this on the stove and put it on medium. And we'll be back in about 5 minutes when this has just started to heat up. It's been 5 minutes, and see, we're already at a boil. And I have a candy thermometer in. Can't get it in the camera enough. Let's see if I can move to help you guys get a better view. See, even I have a foggy view. I'm at about 200 degrees. Now, the ideal temperature that we want to get it up to is 235 degrees. Now, you never want to boil, ever want to boil your fruit or your jam or your jelly, whatever this is, whatever you're making. You never want to boil it over medium. Anything over a medium temperature and you've just got too much of a chance to scald it and ruin it. So we just want a medium boil. Then another thing you need to remember is not all fruit takes the same amount of time. I've actually boiled jellies for an hour and a half before I got them to where they needed to be. And I've boiled other jellies in 20 minutes and had them to where they needed to be. It all depends upon what type of fruit you are using. Alright, we're going to keep going with our boiling. It's at 7 minutes. And we will be back. Alright, we've been boiling for 16 minutes. With me stirring every minute. Look how beautiful and puffy the strawberries have become. Now you can go through and break them up if you want. They easily break apart like fresh strawberries. But you can leave them whole. Me and my family love big chunks of fruit and berry in our jams and jellies. So we'll leave them whole for the most part. Now we stir it, and then you look at your temperature. You never want to check your temperature before you stir, because after you stir, you distribute the heat and actually create a more even distributed heat for your thermostat to measure. And we're only at 200 degrees. So we got another 35, 40 degrees to go. That will probably take us another 30 to 40 minutes. We'll be back in a few more minutes so you can see what next to expect. Alright, we're at 22 minutes, so it's only been 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes, even with stirring, it's gone up 10 degrees. Now, it can go up quickly, and then it'll get to a point where it's going to seem like it's going to take forever. We're just going to keep letting it boil. Keep stirring it so that you don't get any scorching or burning. Now, the more it boils and the less liquid there is, the more likely it is to scald. So, make sure that you're stirring it every 30 seconds to 1 minute. Once it gets above 200 to 210 degrees. We'll be back. It's been 30 minutes of boiling, and a lot of its liquid water has boiled out. Now, I know if you're using store-bought pectin, you would have already poured the pectin in, and it would have already hardened up and thickened up, and you'd end up with a lot more jam than you would if you used homemade. Because the number one thing about homemade is you have to make sure you get all the water out in the boiling process. So all that's left is just the juice of the fruit. And the pectin will thicken up just the juice of the fruit, not the water. So that is one downside to using natural pectin over store-bought pectin. You get a lot less jam and jelly when you're using homemade pectin. However, you're not dealing with possible chemical product when it comes to using store-bought pectin. And you're using 100% fruit. We're at 225 degrees, and it's still very liquidy. There's still a lot of water left, so we're just going to keep boiling. And as you can see, the strawberries are looking so beautiful. I can smell the peach from the juice. I can smell the strawberry. It's wonderful and beautiful. I can tell you it's starting to get close to having just the juice left. And the more you make jams and jellies, I know at first it's a little scary, because even I was a little nervous at first. But once I stopped trying to use store-bought pectin and just started trying to do it the way I remember my grandma doing it, they've all turned out great. Now, if you want like a pancake syrup for your family, and you want this to be like a peach strawberry pancake syrup, you can actually stop the boiling process right now and put it in a jar, and you have pancake syrup. But we want jam for sandwiches, for kids' school lunches. So we're going to keep going until all the water is gone, and we're only dealing with the fruit and the pectin and the juice. We'll be back. We're at 40 minutes, And as you can see, all of the water has boiled out, and what we're dealing with now is just the fruit and the juice and the pectin. So you're going to start to get more of a frothy, foamy bubbles and boil. If you're using homemade pectin, you're not going to get as much of this foam that you get with store-bought pectin. So you don't need to worry about trying to strain it off or do any of that. And you can also see that the stirring process causes the boiling process to react differently. If I were to churn it off at this point, you'd get a little bit thicker than a pancake syrup, and it would be perfect for on top of like biscuits or bagels or things like that. But we're going to let it go and boil a little bit longer till it foams a nice foamy head, and that will be when our jam is ready. And I think for your benefit, so you can see this very important process, because this point it can go very fast, I'm just going to keep the camera on and speed up the camera. There we have it. You see that nice, really thick extra foam that we're getting right at the edges over here that we can't stir out. Now, we're going to start getting the sheeting, and we're pretty much there. A little bit longer. It's not sheeting off the spoon, and sheeting means coming off in big connected drops. This still looks rather liquidy and runny, so we're going to let it go for just a few more minutes. We don't ever want to walk away at this stage because it can so easily burn. We want to stay right here and be stirring constantly. And as you can see, the smaller pieces of strawberry have broken up and churned to nice, thick part of the jam and jelly, and the bigger pieces are staying whole for nice little treats in the bites of your sandwich. See how the droplets are coming together to come and form bigger droplets? That is the sheeting process that we're looking for. Now we can turn it off now and have what's called softball, or we can boil it for just a little bit longer and get a medium ball. And the ball refers to, or the jam jar, when it's cooled and set. Softball, hardball, medium ball refers to how well it holds when it sets. Now, as you can see, this is the perfect. See how it comes off and slides off? And what already looks like syrup, when it looks like pancake syrup during the heating boiling process. Sheeting off the spoon, that's when you have your jam. You can turn it off again right here, and this is your medium ball. But I always like to let it go for another minute between medium ball and hard ball. And yes, it boils out more of your liquid and you have less jam and jelly than you would if you use store-bought pectin or if you bought store-bought jam. But for me, it's the health. And there we are, we're at about almost 240 degrees. There we go. See how it comes off and slides off? Thick. Like a sheet off of your bed. All in one. That's what we want. So we turn it off and stir it again for another 10-15 seconds so it doesn't scorch and burn to the bottom. And then we stop and we let it be. And as you can see, as it's settled down from the boiling and it's just got this little bit of boil, you can already see how thick this is and how perfect this is going to be. This is going to be so wonderful. Now we're going to let this sit for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll be back to spoon it into our baked jars that are sterilized. We'll be back. Alright, this has been setting for 5 minutes, and as you can see, it's already... Ooh, nope, you can't see. Oh, there we go. As you can see, it's already starting to set and get thick. It's just beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dish this into our sterilized jars. They've been baked in an oven at 250 degrees for 20 minutes. Ooh, oops. I have to wipe that off. It's hard to do this backwards. I'm holding a camera. Or holding a pot. Alright, we'll be back when I get these all filled up. Alright, all 3 jars are filled up. And I got a clean, brand new cheesecloth here. And in the bowl, I have very warm water and a little bit of apple cider vinegar for sterilizing. And then we just wipe and clean the rims of the jar. And then my lids and my rings. With the new types of lids that are out there, you don't want to get them hot, too hot. So I just rinse them in the water so they're sterile for the jars. And then we're going to put this in a water bath canner and process it for 25 minutes. And we'll be back when we put this in the canner so you can see what to do next. Now we have them inside the canner and we're going to bring them up to a rolling boil. And once they come up to a rolling boil, we're going to process them for 25 minutes. We'll be back. Alright, now it's boiling. Ooh, it's steamy. So we're going to let it process for 25 minutes. And we'll be back. And now that it's been boiling for 25 minutes, we turn it off. And we let it come down. And remove the lid. And let it sit for 5 minutes. So that it cools. And we don't have such a shock to the jars when we move them from our canner out and onto our cooling rack. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes and we are going to take our jars out and put them on our towel. And they should start popping rather quick. Alright, we're going to let these sit and cool and set and seal, and we will be back when they are done. It's been several hours and we've removed the lids and the jelly has set. So the most important thing is to check to make sure the seals are tight. And as you can see, pushing up on it, the seal is good and sealed and tight. We now have finished peach strawberry jam using our Thrive Life strawberries. Thanks for coming along on this adventure. I hope to see you in the next one. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe and hit that notification bell down below and come with me on my next adventure. I'm enjoying all this fun, learning how to use Thrive Life for all kinds of different things. And I hope to see you next time. And remember everyone, stay positive. Bye.